Okay, so today we're going to do DMA50 section 7, and in section 7 we're working with equations of lines. The last thing that we had worked with was finding the slope. If we were given 2 points, how to find the slope. If we were given an equation, how to find the slope. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to come up with how to write an equation if we're given either 2 points or if we're given a slope and 1 point. Okay. Now, in your workbook, and if you choose the view an example, they're going to use what's called the point slope formula. And the point slope formula is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. You would use this if you are given the slope and if you're given an ordered pair. So if you're given that much information, you can use this equation to come up with and write your equation in one of 2 ways. The 2 forms that we are familiar with is y equals mx plus. This we call the slope intercept form. The other form of the equation was ax plus by equals c. This is called the standard form. And this was something we talked about on the first day of class when we were together in the classroom. So either your answer will be in this format or it will be in standard form. When I teach this concept, I generally teach this concept using the slope intercept form for everything. Just because we already know that equation, we know m's the slope, we know b's the y-intercept, and it's just simple to work with. I'm going to demonstrate how to do this both ways, but you would be able to choose the way I'm going to teach you that I like to do it, or you may do it using the point slope formula that is given and used in the examples in your workbook. Okay, so and actually, do you know what I just did? Let me move it up. I took that first slide and actually I started it at the bottom. So let me see if I can, well, I'll move it to the top at the end. All right, so if we are given m equals -8, and we're given the ordered pair -1, -5, and I want you to give me the equation. And I want the equation to be in slope-intercept form. That's the form I want my final answer in. The first way I'm going to show this is I'm going to demonstrate it with the point slope equation, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I'm going to show it to you solving this way, and then I'm going to show it to you the way that I like to do it. Okay, so first of all, this is x1, this is y1. So what we have is y minus -5, and this is the first place right here where people mess up. A lot of people write y minus 5. They don't put minus -5. M is -8, and then we have x minus x of 1 is -1. So what we've got to remember here is to change minus negatives to plus positives. So that becomes y plus 5. And this, let me recopy first because I need to adjust this, and that is x and negative gives me a plus 1. Now I need to distribute my -8. Oh, hang on. I'm saying 8 and writing 8. I'm going to distribute my -8, and that gives me -8x and then minus 8. In order to have it in slope-intercept form, all I now need to do is to move my 5 to the right-hand side, and that gives me y equals x, and 8 minus 5 is -13. So that's one way you can go about doing this if you do it the way that they have their view and example. The way I would normally do this, and let me do it in a different color here. The way I would normally use this is I would use this equation. I would use x and y as the points from the equation, and then the m is the -8. So if I'm doing this, I would have -5 equals -8 times -1 plus b. Now already here, I don't have to go into changing minus negatives to plus positives. When I look at this, this is like a DMA40 problem. It's just real simple, solve for b. So -5 equals negative times negative is +8 plus b. I move my 8 to the other side because I'm trying to get b alone. -5 minus 8 is -13 equals b. And then all I need to do is rewrite my equation. Y equals m, we were given as -8x, and I just solved for b, that's -13. So I just want you to see there's two ways to go about doing the problems. You can choose the left side. This is the way you in the textbook. And then if you look on the right side, this is the way that I normally do these, okay? So what I want to do is I want to give an example using my way, and I'm going to give you a problem where you're going to start with being given two ordered pairs, and then you've got to come up with your equation from those ordered pairs. Okay, so we're going to have given -1, 3, and given the point -2, -5, given all of this, I'm going to ask you to give equation in standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. Okay? The first thing I'm going to tell you is all of this part of the instructions, you're going to ignore until the last step. Ignore until the last step. At the very end, we'll come and put it in that form, okay? So the first thing we're going to start with is when given 2 points, if given 2 points, what can we already do? We've learned how to find the slope. So if given 2 points, find the slope. So that's what we're going to do. So the slope is, come on. Okay, now I don't know how in the world I did that. Give me a minute, maybe it'll. I usually just hit the button and then it goes back off and it's not going away. Okay, this is one of those technical difficulty moments, so give me a minute and let's see if it will. Okay, that's not where I'm at. If I can go back to my PowerPoint, or did, oh my goodness, my PowerPoint disappeared. Hang on. Okay, so if given 2 points, what we're going to do is find the slope. We have an x and a y here, and we have our second x and y here. So when we find the slope, we subtract the 2 y's, and in the denominator, we subtract the x's. The important part of this, the important part is that as we do these, we start with the first order pair. So if I have 3 first, I've got 3 minus -5. Then in my denominator, I still start with the first order pair. So it's -1 minus -2. Okay? So -3 minus -5. And I encourage you, please don't mind using your calculator. -3 minus -5. It will change the minus negative to plus a positive, and that's going to give us, let's see. Let me make sure I wrote this down right. Hang on a second. That's not a negative, y'all. Excuse me. That's my equals. It's not a negative. It's just a 3. So 3 minus negative 5 is going to give me a positive 8. And then negative 1 minus negative 2 is going to give me a positive 1. And 8 divided by 1. So at this point, I know my slope is a positive 8. So when you're given 2 points, you find the slope. Then I want you to choose one ordered pair. It can be either one, it does not matter. I'm just going to, after you choose one ordered pair, we are going to utilize this equation, y equals mx plus b. We are going to plug in the m, the x, and the y. Those are the values that we have. M, we have the x, we have the y. We're going to plug in those 3 for b, just like I did a moment ago. So I would have 3 equals 8. So 3 equals negative 8 plus b. I'm going to move my 8 to the other side. 8 and 3 is 11 is equal to b. So I found my answer for b. Once I know that, I then am going to rewrite equation. I'm going to use values m and the b. I'm going to use the letters x and y. I'm not going to substitute numbers. I'm just going to use the letters x and y. So now what I have is y, m was 8, the letter x, and b is a positive 11. So this is the equation in slope-intercept form. However, this particular problem, if we look back at the very beginning, they said they wanted it in standard form, ax plus by equals c. So in order to do that, if AC is the form they move it in, all I've got to do is take my 8x, move it to the left of the equals. When we move it to the left, we also, so this 8x becomes negative 8x, and then I just bring down my y equals, and then I bring down my last number at the end. This is now in the standard form. So anytime you're doing the problems with equations of lines, to me, that is the easiest way to go about doing it. Now, sometimes you're not given 2 points. They're going to start right here. They'll give you the slope and an ordered pair, and then you go from there. Now, what I would like to do is I want to do another one of these as another practice so that you can see how we went about doing this. Okay, so let me pick 2 different ordered pairs. So let's do it this time with, let's see, -6, -2. And let's say we have 5 and a -3. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is find the slope. -2, -3, and then we're going to have -6 minus 5. So -2 minus -3 will give us a positive 1. And then -6 minus 5 is going to give us a -11. Wow, now we get to do one with a fraction. Okay, so we have our slope is -1/11, and I'm going to pick the first ordered pair, -6, -2. So don't get afraid that we have a fraction, we'll just work with it. Remember, that's your x, that's your y. So what we have is -2 equals -1/11 6 plus b. So -2 equals negative and negative 7 plus b. I'm going to move the fraction to the left. That's going to cancel. B is equal to. Now let's just use the calculator here. Let's go and we do -2 minus, and our fraction was 6/11, and that gives us a -28/11. So we have -28/11. So my equation is now y equals -1/11 x minus 28/11. That's our answer in standard form, in the slope-intercept form. If they want it in the other format, when this moves to the other side, it becomes +1/11 x plus y equals -28/11. So this is the form AY equals C if that's the way they want it. But if they still wanted it in this form, y equals mx plus b, it would be the answers we had before. So hopefully that'll make that bit of information a little bit easier for you when you're working those. I just like doing it this way. I just think it seems to make it a little more streamlined and a little simpler. Okay.